Not unless you buy one of these homes, you're not. Trying to buy a home is scary enough, and you're probably feeling overwhelmed and stressed out. It's a tough market, but listen, I have a bunch of specific types of homes that I tell my clients if you want the truth, nope, not at all, never buy one of these homes. Most agents wouldn't dare tell you any of the things I'm about to say in this video for fear of losing a sale. So I'm going to share with you the types of homes that you should never buy. I hope you get a lot of value out of this so it helps you avoid a lot of costly mistakes and saves you money in the end. Let's just get right into it, but stick around to the very end because I give you a bunch of extra bonus tips from the 750 deals I've closed to help you buy a home. The first types of homes that I would never buy are houses in an HOA. If you don't know what HOA stands for, God bless you. But if you've had the unfortunate displeasure of dealing with an HOA, then you know it stands for Homeowners Association. You better think long and hard about what I'm about to say before you get yourself stuck buying a home in an HOA community. Picture this. You just close on your nice $500,000 home. Deed in your name and keys in your hand. One weekend you notice that the house is lacking some, so a light bulb goes off in your head. You didn't notice when you bought the house, but there really isn't many flowers or shrubs in your front yard. That weekend, you spend hours on your hands and knees until you get it just the way you want. As the sun begins to set, you marvel at the beautiful garden that you just created. That night, you fall into a deep sleep. The next morning, you wake up to a loud knocking at your door. Confused, you stumble down the stairs, half awake, still in your PJs. Who could it be? A lady is standing there outside your porch, fire in her eyes. You hear her heavy breathing and you see a slight tremble in her clenched fist. Hello, Mr. Campbell. I see you planted a garden in your front yard yesterday. You think to yourself, well, this is odd. Before you can get a word out, the lady shoves a piece of paper in your hands. You look down and it says that you have 24 hours to remove every single plant or they're going to fine you $1,000 a day until you did.
A homeowner trying to beautify his property and his neighborhood by planting trees has run afoul of a homeowners association.
They fined him $5,000.
You can't even personalize your home the way that you want, and when you do need them to fix something, they are impossible to get a hold of. Because if you need to ask permission to do anything, is it really your home? If anyone has a crazier HOA story, I would love to hear it, so drop it in the comments below. The next type of homes that I would never buy are new construction. Hear me out on this one. Just because it's brand new does not mean there's not going to be any problems. This might shock you, but I would much rather have an older home that has been renovated and updated instead of a brand new cookie cutter new construction house. I'll talk about their fast construction techniques and all the cheap materials that they use, but first, do you know how many hidden costs that they end up charging you? Like having to pay for land. Yes, that's right. A lot of new construction homes will only charge you for the actual house, not the land that it's sitting on. Like, yeah, Mr. Developer, I'm gonna want some land with the house I just bought. Oh, you do, sir? Well, that's gonna be an extra $50,000. You must have missed that in the fine print. Well, what else is in that fine print? The homes are bare bones. They will nickel and dime you for every upgrade imaginable. If you want a different paint, that's $5,000. If you want better appliances, that's $10,000. If you want to have window treatments, that's an extra $15K. Utility hookup fees, financing fees, inspection fees, permit fees. After a while, I feel like they just start making up words and put fee at the end of it.
You serious?
Historically, the best homes were actually built from the 1920s to the 1950s. This is when they used durable materials, they paid attention to architectural details, and they used high quality craftsmanship. Now they're just trying to put up as many homes as possible, and when that happens, quality control goes out the window.
For example, he says his front window was installed crooked, making it almost impossible to be opened or closed.
Back then, older homes were built to last. Now, newer homes are built to sell. Many new homes are falling apart within years of being built.
We introduced you to a man who moved into his new home in May. The cosmetic issues, like some of the doors not closing smoothly or the right appliances installed, resonated with a lot of viewers.
The drywall that they use in new construction homes are paper thin. You're going to be able to hear every little sound behind those walls.
After it rained this summer, Olivia heard dripping in the wall.
Don't even get me started on the HVAC systems. We just had an inspection done from a client of mine for a new construction home that was just built 2 years ago, and it was supposedly one of the better builders in the development. Yet when we did the inspection, there was mold growing over all the air ducts in the attic. The inspector said he usually sees this with new construction homes because they don't take the time to design the HVAC systems correctly and they use cheaper parts. I am sure you have a horror story about a new construction home that you regret buying, and I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Now, I'm not saying buying a 100+ year home is the solution here, but just do your research when you go and buy a new construction home in a cookie cutter development. You'll thank me later. The next type of house that I would never buy is a nice house in a bad area.
That's your home! Are you too good for your home?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, you might be too good to buy these types of homes. Of course, you're gonna get a great deal on a great house, but you never want the nicest house in the neighborhood. There's a reason why that seemingly attractive house is being sold for a massive discount. It's even going to be hard to find a buyer for that house when you go to sell because a lot of people that can afford it are going to settle for a cheaper house in a more desirable area. Not to mention you're going to be constantly worrying, so you're going to have to install security cameras, you're going to install alarms just to keep your house from getting broken into and having all your stuff stolen or possibly worse. Imagine pulling into your friend's house and you're just standing there waiting on the porch for the door to open. All of a sudden, somebody runs up on you asking if you have any drugs for sale.
Got some blow, got some rock?
Get the out my face.
Yeah, major turnoff. If you don't want to get stuck with a nice house in a bad area, there's a few things you can do to avoid this. Just go and check the area out at night. Look at the crime statistics online. Check out the school ratings. That'll usually tell you all you need to know about the area. If you're not a local, look on Google Street View. If you see bars on the windows, yeah, that's a red flag. And hey, if you can handle an area like this, just hope and pray that you can stay there long enough for the area to get cleaned up and the home values to go up. The next type of house that I would never buy is a home next to an industrial or commercial area. Residential zones are where houses are built, but everything else like stores and offices and factories and bars, those are all built in commercial or industrial type zones. The actual house itself might be fine, but what about the area surrounding it? That's why it's a great idea to look at a zoning map if you're gonna put an offer on a house and there's any question about the surrounding areas. Then if it is next to a commercial zone, then spend an hour driving about a mile or two around the area just so you make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. I cannot tell you how many times this has happened where I show a client a house and they fall in love with it.
As long as the area. Nice. Yeah. The area's nice.
Then I tell them to go and drive around the area and all of a sudden they see a train track 3 blocks down the road. Trust me, if you have a newborn baby, you do not want a train speeding by your house at 3 o'clock in the morning. Another one is airports. If you're within like 5 miles of an airport, just get ready for that giant Boeing 747 to be flying over your house a dozen times a day. Depending on how close you are and the flight path, it can literally shake your entire house. It's loud, very loud. Also, consider highways or even main roads. If the house is directly behind a major highway or a main road, just spend 5 or 10 minutes in the backyard to make sure you can handle that level of noise.
The closer you live to a busy road, the higher your chances of dementia.
So listen to this. I had a client that bought a house right next to a commercial zone and he didn't think anything of it. A couple months later, a bar opened up a couple blocks down the road. The music was so loud that they had to file noise complaints with the city. But since they weren't breaking any laws, there wasn't anything the city can actually do. It got so bad that they had to eventually move out and sell the house. And yes, they lost a lot of money because nobody wanted to live right down the road from a bar. You might get a great deal on one of these homes and you might be able to handle it. Just remember, when you go to sell it, a lot of people won't. So you're really gonna limit your buyer pool. I wanna give you a bunch of tips that could potentially save you thousands of dollars when buying a home. Also, if you think I missed any types of houses never to buy, drop it in the comments below. I want you to listen very carefully to the first tip I'm about to tell you. If you do end up buying a house, do not over improve it. I don't care if you plan on living there for the next 20 years, do not do it. I've seen so many instances of owners sinking hundreds of thousands of dollars into their home, thinking they're gonna stay there forever, and then something comes up and they're forced to sell. They ended up losing a tremendous amount of money because the things that they improved on didn't add true value to the home. Never pass up an inspection. I don't care what you see during the showing, homeowners do sketchy things. They will paint over water stains, they will paint over mold. You always need to have a good inspector check the house. Always find out the age of major things like the roof, because if it's not in great condition, it can end up costing you tens of thousands of dollars. Plus, be really hard to insure. Same with the air conditioning unit and the water heater, and also termites. If you have a termite problem, they can literally eat your house out from the inside out. Be very cautious of LLC flips as well. If you notice that the house was just bought by an LLC 6 months prior, and now they're trying to charge you an extra $100,000, be very wary. And you're really going to want to avoid flood zones as well. You might have to have your real estate agent look this up on the MLS, but if you're in a flood zone, it could be a nightmare to get insured, and you could potentially run into a massive natural disaster. My name is Andy Coleman, and if anybody needs a local real estate agent in South Florida, I'm going to drop my info below, so reach out to me. All right, that was pretty good. Not bad.